Hello, everyone, and welcome to our new series. I'm so excited to start this book launch series because we have so many people in our community that are getting ready to launch a book this spring or even a bit beyond. So if you are here watching with me today, make sure you say hello. And I have a little bit of a different setup, so I'm hoping I can make it all work because I'm not at home in my normal place. So I have this, I'm on my iPad. Y'all, iPads, I don't actually know where to look. So I feel like I'm looking at the wrong place, but I cannot figure out. I know where my camera is, but even when I look there, it looks weird. So maybe Miss Shelley Brown can help me learn how to use my iPad better and figure this out. So, anyways, we're going to talk about book launch and the whole. The title of this series is book launch: how to launch your book your way, because we just got done talking about how to market in your strengths and how to use the gifting that God has given you in those places and really market there. And so we want to make sure that you recognize how you can launch your book using your strengths. And so the first 4 segments of this book launch series is going to really focus on kind of just the logistics and getting a framework for you to launch your book. And then as we talk about the different ways that each of you can launch your book, that's where we're going to focus the training, so that we're not just putting training out there for just, any kind of launch. But if you have a very specific way that you want to focus in launching your book, then we're going to create training and create resources and templates for that very reason. So that's how we're going to move forward. And so it's good to see everyone. I see Carrie's here, and Shelley and Susan and Shelley Picard. So I'm glad you're all watching with me. And we are going to launch into our first topic of defining your audience. Now, I really think that many of you are probably sick of hearing me say that, to define your audience. It is the most crucial part of any part of your writing and your marketing. And that's why we always speak to that first. So whether you're publishing your first book or your 50th, knowing who you're writing for is one of the most important steps in reaching your reader effectively. As an author, it's tempting to think that your book is for everyone. But the truth is, if you are speaking to everyone, you're connecting with no one. So defining your target audience ensures that your book is going to resonate with the right people and increase your chances of success in both sales and impact. So today we're going to walk through why it's important to find your audience and to create a detailed reader persona. So we're actually going to create the persona in our coaching tomorrow. So make sure that you mark your calendar, 9 a.m. Pacific time, noon Eastern time, and we're going to work together to really help us hone in on who that person is that we are marketing to. So think of this as you're throwing this special party, and to make it successful, you need to know who you're inviting. You need to know what they're going to enjoy, how you're going to get them to come. And without this knowledge, your invitation might get ignored. But if they're personalized, if they're enticing, if they are really engaging your ideal guest, those guests are going to show up with excitement. So by the end of this session and then in tomorrow's coaching, you're going to have all the tools and insights to create a clear picture of that audience member, so that all the rest of our marketing efforts are going to point that direction and it will grab their attention. So here we go. I'm going to give you a couple steps today. The first step is you want to begin with the demographics. So we're going to create this reader persona that is basically a detailed representation of your ideal reader. Think of it as your book's biggest fan, the person who will see this book on their shelf. It'll be on their Kindle, and they'll say these words: "This book is perfect for me." So we start with the basic idea of demographics. These are things like age, gender, location. For example, if your book is a romantic comedy, your target reader might be a woman in her late 20s or early 40s. On the other hand, if you're doing more of a Bible study. You may have a larger persona of who that person could be, but the persona maybe isn't into age. It has more of a characteristic traits for them. And so we want to ask these specific questions. What is the likely age range of my reader? Are they predominantly male, female, or could it be liked by either? And where are they geographically? So this is both locally. Are they local in your area? Are they, and then where are they in the marketing world? Are they in the church? Are they in a hospital? Are they on social media? What platforms are they using? These are all kinds of questions that help us identify the demographic and where we find these people. Then step 2, we explore what their interests are. So we look at the interests that what the ideal reader enjoys reading. What are their hobbies? What's their entertainment? What are their passion points? What makes them tick? What is going to help you build a connection with that audience member? Then we need to really determine, like, if your book involves cooking or spending time with your family, you may connect more in the area of like Facebook groups that give recipes. There's tons of them out there. Maybe it's the busy mom, and so you say, well, the busy mom, one of the things she does need is recipes to make really quick meals. And so I connect with those women in those places where their interests lie. And so again, tomorrow we're going to really talk through, like, what are the interests, so you can be thinking about that, so you come to the coaching prepared and ready for this conversation. Then we have the habits and their needs. Let's dig into the motivations. What problem is your book solving, and what craving does it really fulfill? What's that need that your reader has that your book is going to satisfy? It's not just what your book does, what your book is, but it's what it does for your audience. How do they engage in it? And so making sure that we understand their habits and their needs. When we recognize what your reader is doing, we will better be able to meet a need that they have, because when we know where they are, when we know what they're doing, we can see the problems they encounter. And so our book can help them. And as we launch it, we are able to really identify those needs and meet them. And then you want to investigate online behaviors. Even though we will tell you 100 times and then we will repeat it again, you don't sell books on social media, but you can gain an audience on social media to lead them to the places where you can nurture them best. With your book, with your email newsletter, with an in-person event, the places where God's gifted you. So where do they spend their time online? Are they in Facebook groups? Do they go into Instagram? Are they part of Goodreads or any of those types of book platforms? Where are your readers? For those of you who have fiction, you may find that a book platform is a great place to engage your reader. But for those of you who are writing nonfiction, you may find that a Facebook group is a better place to engage your reader. So determine where they are and what their online behaviors are. And I'm going to give you a clue, and we're going to talk about this when we get to online marketing, is start looking at people that write the same thing you write, and what are they doing on social media? What are they doing online? And how is the interaction? Because if they're doing a whole bunch online, but no one ever interacts with them at all, then they're probably not doing the right thing for their audience. So start looking at those items. The next thing I want to talk about is identifying your ideal book buyer. Now you may say, Carol, what do you mean identifying my book buyer? I thought that's what we were talking about. But a book buyer is not necessarily a book reader. And as you think through that, we do a buyer versus reader. So we may have a book that will be purchased by a certain person to give to the reader, but the reader may not actually recognize that they need it. So here's a simple example for a Bible study. Your ideal book reader is the woman sitting in the pew on a Sunday morning. She's the woman that's probably going to end up in a Tuesday morning Bible study, and she's the one that you're going to speak to. She has all kinds of characteristics that we can talk through, but that's kind of the person that would read a Bible study or do a Bible study. But the Bible study buyer is the women's ministry director. So do you see how I would have to market in the area of the people that have the group of people that I want to read the book? Because they're the ones that are choosing the curriculum and choosing the ways to engage with their readers. So let me give you an example. And I think I have it in my notes. So we're going to talk a little bit. I just had a meeting with Mary Bruce, and Mary Bruce actually has a book that came out a couple years ago, and she's thinking of relaunching it. So we're trying to brainstorm with her ways that she could really relaunch it. And we had this conversation just a few minutes ago. Who is your book buyer versus who is your book reader? I'm going to show you her book. So it's called Widowhood, A Calling for Leadership. So that's a little bit different of a twist on a book for a widow, because most of the time we think that a book for widows is more focused on just the nurturing and the mending of their soul as they're walking through grief. But this book actually calls the widow to step into a place in this new season of life where she can begin to lead once again. And so in this particular book, we have to identify two key audiences. There are the widows, who are the readers, and they are typically women who have lost their husband navigating new roles in their life. And they're searching for encouragement, they're searching for resources, and they're searching for purpose. And the need that the widow has is they need comfort, they need hope, they need guidance, they need tools to step into leadership while leaning in on their faith. And then the desired outcome is that once they read this book and once they engage with Mary and the resources that she may have for them, she wants them to feel empowered as a widow and find ways to really thrive and lead their life in a new way. So there is the reader. Now, some of those readers will purchase this book. They'll see it. They'll recognize that they're in this season of life and they really want to make an impact. And so they will pick up this book. But there is another group of people that would purchase this book. And these are church leaders, family members, caregivers, counselors, people that know widows that can help them along the way, or perhaps a church leader who would want to engage the widows of their church into a small group, into a group that helps them walk through the process and walks through their own grief, but then gives them resources to help them step into a leadership role. So we really need to think through who is the audience that I am marketing to and who is the audience that is going to read my book. Within that, we will also talk about things like how do we then curate a message that really resonates with that particular person. So you will have a message that is specifically for the widows and how you're going to communicate to them, but you will have a different message for the church leaders or the caregivers or the people that are going to lead these groups, or friends of the widow that they know that there's so much potential there. And so they end up finding the book for them. And then once we curate that message, we will be able to then really target the way that we need to market. And that's where our demographics come in. Where are the widows? Where are they hanging out online? Where are they hanging out offline? Are they in the church? Are they in the community somewhere? How do we reach our reader? But then how do we reach the leader that has access to our audience? Leveraging others' audiences to give them the tools, not because we are so amazing and our book is so amazing, but because our God is so amazing and the gospel is important and he wants us to live a full and joyful life. And we can do that as we engage perhaps in this book, recognizing our path and where we should go. So that is where we are today. So this is lesson 1 or part 1 of how to launch your book your way. And I want to remind you, tomorrow is our coaching session, our live coaching session. Be sure that you come and are part of that. Come ready to work. I will most likely have a PDF in the group that you can download that's going to walk you through all of those steps in our Facebook group. So you can go in, download that so we can work through those questions and those conversations together, and you will be well on your way to launch your book. So thank you so much for being with me today, and I will see you next time.